Please subscribe Raj Shamani Clips channel if you want to become a better leader for tomorrow and achieve your Indian dream in short amount of time with just small clips. First is, you said an average young professional, right? They have their blind zones. What do you think? What are the blind zone of an average person who's watching this right now? Because I believe my audience is a reflection of me. Most of are going to be as ambitious as I am, probably in the same age where I am, right? So I want to know, like, what are our blind zones? And I want to take this liberty to call everybody as just, and I want to put it in one lens and one frame.
Yeah, and that's a great question, because I could be making this bold statement and not be able to substantiate it. I guess what gave me the confidence to realize that a lot of professionals have this blind zone, the number one reason was I realized that despite my career and commercial and financial success, I had these blind spots. And so that was the first starting point. But then as I started to talk to people, I started to realize that the vast majority of people cannot tell me what their goals are, what their values are, what their mission is, what their passion is, what their purpose is, what their strengths are. So I started to realize that from a self-discovery point of view, a lot of people actually don't know who they are. They've got an external identity, like everybody knows their name and their nationality, and everybody knows their religion, everybody knows their age, but that's external, right? That's something that society has given you. The internal identity, which is a concept that I talk about, who are you on the inside? Like, what is your purpose? What is your passion? What are your values? What are your strengths? What's your zone of genius? I started to realize that majority of people didn't know that. And that's one of the reasons I believe that a lot of people are not inspired and they don't really connect with what they're doing, because they're following what is trendy or what is lucrative at any given point in time. I'm going to become an engineer, I'm going to be an MBA, whatever it is. I'm only doing it because everybody else is doing it. That's the in thing, and that's what's going to make me successful. Second thing I realized was that the vast majority of people, that's not just Indians, but everybody, majority of people don't understand money. They don't actually understand the basics of money management. They don't understand investing. They don't understand risk management. They don't know how to protect wealth. The statistics are glaringly obvious. And that's not just in India. I mean, if you look at the Global Shift in Wealth, which is an annual report, I think it's produced by Deloitte. And that tells you that the number of millionaires in the world is less than 50 million. So that's out of 8 billion people. Now, a millionaire is not even a big deal anymore, as you would know right now. What's the big deal about making $1 million? Like keeping $1 million, right? I also realized that a lot of people don't understand the difference between income and net worth, or they don't understand how to minimize their tax, or they have erroneous money beliefs. So I started to realize there was massive gaps in the money area. And whether we like it or not, we are in an economic world, and money is a great enabler. And because I did financial advice for many, many years, and I don't say this with any disrespect, so many of my clients were CFOs and vice presidents and doctors. Finances were in shambles. Some of them, when you looked at how much money they had accumulated over an entire lifetime, it didn't make sense. Because their income at the front end was massive, but what they kept was incredibly low relative to that. So I started thinking, is it possible perhaps that our education system is not teaching professionals the basics of money management? And I started using this analogy about cricket. So imagine you're a fantastic cricketer, but you don't know the rules of cricket and you don't know how to read the scoreboard. What is the possibility that you're going to be successful as a cricketer? Even if you're a great batsman or a great bowler. Think about that, right? So the majority of people don't know how to read the financial scoreboard. They actually don't know what their net worth is. And they don't know the rules of money. There are certain rules of money, right? How the game is played. So then I thought to myself, well, if you don't understand the rules of money and you don't know how to read the scoreboard, which means you have no idea how you're traveling financially, you're probably assuming that you're doing well financially because you have a good salary or you drive a good car. Do you have any idea how you're traveling relative to your own needs in the future, right? And I started to realize, my God, that's a huge blind spot. Like people are in the money game by virtue of the fact that you've got an income, you've got expenses, you're paying taxes. You're in the money game and you don't know how to read the scoreboard and you don't understand the rules of the game. So mathematically, it's a certainty that you're going to fail. And again, the statistics reflect that. Global statistics are telling us that the vast majority of people, even in Australia, 72% of Australians will rely on social security at retirement, 72%. And America has 50 million people under the poverty line. So this is a global problem, right? And because I'm in the money game, I have a real passion for going, why does this problem exist? And how do we solve this problem, right? And so there was a huge blind spot. People don't even know that they're heading towards the financial disaster. They have no idea that they've got financial problems, right? So that was the second one. The third one was from a spirituality angle. How come the vast majority of professionals are choosing to follow an established career path rather than being creative, rather than being disruptive, rather than innovating, rather than discovering? Why aren't they being leaders? How come the majority are choosing to follow an established path, but they're not leading? And especially in today's online world, you have the ability to take your ideas and bring something to life, right? You have done it, I have done it. None of us are real geniuses, but we had the ability to think openly and independently, right? So that was another blind spot. I was like, why do people not understand their creative potential? Don't they understand how incredibly powerful they are? Don't they understand how they can maximize their potential? So I always say that, when you start education, if you look at the education system right now, you have primary education, you have secondary education, then you have, it's all academic, then you have professional education, skills-based education, and for majority of people, that's it. But then you have personal development education, you have business education, financial education, spiritual education, right? And I realized that there was a big blind spot. A lot of people don't actually understand their spiritual nature. They don't understand their creative potential. They don't know how to maximize their potential because they don't understand how powerful they are. So I felt that was another blind spot. So those three were the main blind spots. And that's how, I said, how can I do something in order to not to discard the education system, but to complement it? Because it seems like the education system doesn't seem to have an interest in fixing these problems. According to the World Health Organization, mental illness is the leading cause of disability right now. According to Gallup poll, 76% of people hate their jobs. Majority of people have health issues, relationship issues, money issues. What's going on? We have more education than ever before, and we seem to still have those systemic issues in the human world, and we haven't been able to fix it. And so I felt that the primary cause was the way the education system is constructed. And I didn't see any solution out there, so I decided to do something about it.
You said that one of the first blind spots which people have is on their internal identity, right? Most of the people don't know about what's their passion, what's their purpose, what are they good at, what are they bad at, what is their zone of genius, what should they pursue, right? I believe sometimes it's okay not to know that. Because as when you're starting, okay, just think about a young person who's in his 20s, getting out. I believe it's okay not to have a purpose. It's okay not to understand weaknesses and strengths in that point. Because if I'm 20 and I don't know, naturally I'm not inclined towards something and making it big, and I'm not forced by my internal source of motivation or external source of motivation anyway, or my family pressure, if I'm not forced to do certain thing, I should have the ability to experiment multiple things. I should not put this jacket on my head and be like, hey, this is my purpose and I'm going to change the world in this way. It's okay. Maybe I want to be a teacher, so let me try teaching, and it might turn out that it's not my purpose. Maybe I want to be a DJ, let me do that. Maybe I want to be a singer, let me do that. I mean, it can be anything. If you are forcing yourself to think about these questions from day one, that I need to figure out my purpose, then I think sometimes it can be bad as well. It can be detrimental because internally you're not strong enough. You have not developed your personality enough that you can actually analyze between influence and the real source of inspiration. So you are forcing yourself to do something. And to me, that's a worse situation than actually not having a purpose. So what do you think about that?
I agree with what you're saying, because it can be restrictive. If somebody says, I need to figure out my purpose before I do anything, then that's not what we're advocating. What we are saying though is, if you know who you are and you know what you want, you have a higher probability of achieving it, right? If you know who you are. So we say, it's, and here's the studies, if you look at value system, you are more likely to be disciplined, organized and motivated in areas that align with your primary values.
Yeah.
We know that a lot of people in their own admission have problems with motivation and discipline and organization. Why is that? Because they've pursued a path that is not in alignment with their purpose and values, right? So it's not a necessity, but it's all about efficiency. I mean, you and I are entrepreneurs, right? Why you want to be as efficient as possible. We understand that the world is not perfect, life is not perfect. But if you have a slightly more efficient path to achieving that success that you've dreamt about, then it's worth at least considering, right?
God.
Doesn't have to be forced. I mean, absolutely, I don't think that people should just sit there at home going, well, I don't know what my purpose is, I shouldn't do anything. A lot of the times, the way you figure out your purpose is through experimentation.
Yeah.
But it pays to kind of reflect on, as a child, what was unique about you? As a child, what were the things where you were involved in certain activities, you lost all concept of time and space? What are the things that you absolutely love talking about? What are the things where nobody has to push you? You naturally want to do them. What are the things where you have a natural inclination to do research? I think these are great questions to reflect on. And I certainly believe that if you choose a career path and an occupation that is in alignment with your purpose and values, you are likely to succeed more because it's not going to feel like a chore. You're not going to feel like it's forced. And you're going to start to find joy in your work.
So there are 2 tests that I do for myself and which has helped me a lot in my life. And I keep telling to everybody to start doing these kind of tests. One is how do I make more money? That's a test which I do. And then the other is how do I find my purpose? And for both of them, I have a different test. So how do you make more money? Everybody keeps searching about what's the next big opportunity. How do I find trends which are really big? Okay, what are the people doing? Where have they made money? And I think the better way to do it is make a strength and weaknesses chart every night before you go to bed. So there's a wall, or take a piece of paper, write down plus and write down minus. Write down all the things which you feel that you did really good today. And then write down minus, which you feel it drained your energy, it sucked your energy, you didn't like it, you're terrible at it, just write it down. And do this for a month. And you'll automatically find out in those 30 days, you'll find out a pattern that, oh, these are the 5 things which I really enjoy. And then you need to just put it up and take those strengths and turn around something in that field or use that strength or that internal thing to build something which you really want to build. Because when you keep focusing on what your strengths are and what you really enjoy, you're going to automatically make more money than actually looking at more trends outside. So that's a test which I do, plus and minus. Every night I used to do that. And then eventually I found out, okay, oh, this is what I like, this is what I like, this is what I'm good at. And I want to get really good at these things. So let me do that. And I started enjoying the whole process. So that was one. And the second was, how do I find my purpose? Was the give index and the take index. I would write the same thing. I would on a piece of paper, I would write give and take. Okay. What am I taking today and what am I giving today? Right. So for longest time, for 30, 40 days, I didn't have anything that I'm giving back. I always had this, oh, I'm taking food, I'm taking this, I'm taking, let's say somebody's time, I'm taking the money from this person, I'm living on this thing, right? I'm just doing that. And then I started doing, okay, today I taught my younger brother this. Oh, that's a give. Today I created content for the world for free. That's a give. Today I spoke to my mom just to strengthen a relationship. That's a give, right? So I would just give and take, and I would do that. And then when you do that for a long time, 30, 40 days, you'll find out what are the things that you love giving. And based on that, you can find your purpose. That, oh, I love solving other people's problem. Let me make that my purpose. So my strength areas are, I love talking, I love teaching, I love spending time in consumer goods and building brands, and I love solving people's problem. How can I combine both of them and actually turn it into a mission which will eventually help me? So this is what I used to do.
Yeah.
And it helps in the beginning. I mean, obviously later it's a huge journey, and I'm also on a journey that I've eventually not figured out everything myself. But I think it's a great starting point for everybody to follow these 2 indexes.
100%. I completely endorse that perspective as well. And that's why, you look at your own situation. To get to where you are, could you have got to where you are if it wasn't completely in alignment with your values and strengths? Mm-hmm. So I really do believe that the success journey accelerates fast. It's about whether you want to take the slow road to wealth, to success, or you want to take the fast road to success, right? So none of this is mandatory, but I do believe that it's got a lot of merit. Mm-hmm. I've personally experienced it. People who taught me have experienced it. We've heard that lots of great successful people also attest to these principles working. So I think there's merit in it. Now, obviously, I don't really want people to fall romantically in love with the notion of running after your passion. I mean, there are some practical realities as well. You've got to solve somebody's problem, as you said. And that's the business reality of it. If you're going to monetize your passion, you want to solve somebody's problem. So there is that strategic element as well. So we are very mindful of the fact that we don't just want to encourage people to just blindly fall in love with their passion. At the end of the day, there has to be an element of contribution and impact and solving somebody's problem as well. But I think there was a model that talked about the fact that where your purpose and your passion comes together to solve somebody's problem for a profit, that is the sweet spot of career fulfillment.
Thank you for watching this till the end. If you want to become a better leader for tomorrow, then subscribe our channel for more such clips.